Just Answering Questions with WAPTech, where I respond to people who sometimes post a question, but really it's an assertion, but they don't want to be criticized. That's where it comes from. That's why I say just answering your questions that you were hiding behind. Other cases, it's a person making an assertion, but I treat it as a question. Every statement a person made deserves to be questioned and deserves to be answered, not just poked at. Did logging of straight trees make them evolve into something less desirable? What factors in recent tree evolution exist? And etc. What's the difference between selective breeding and natural selection causing breeding behaviors? If you have a forest catch on fire, trees that are more resistant to fire will simply survive more often. But that means that it's intelligently designed, because I need to have that argument for some reason in the comment section. No, it's because what you're seeing is an intelligent outcome for a non-intelligent behavior. Not dying isn't an intelligent choice or a tactic. It's happenstance. Some of you need to look in the mirror and realize the only reason the reason I'm here and the reason I'm successful is I didn't drop dead. I mean, we do enough things that are destructive to ourselves, and we move around. I want to point out a couple of things about plants, trees, etc. A large number of them are two real things. The thing you know about, which is what you can see on the surface, and the tree growing underground. They don't just grow roots underground. That is the tree underground as well. They are part of the earth and are rooted to it. That tree is growing even if you burn the entire top off or chop it off. Anybody out there who's cut a tree down right down to the base, not even leaving a stump, and watched it come up from the roots, knows that you haven't cut the tree down and killed it. People who scream, "You're killing the tree!" You haven't been around trees. You don't know what you're talking about. Is there a chance that trees and plants are contorting their branches away from straight to twisted due to humans preferring long, straight timber because it's easier to work with? Trees that twist that you see, unless they've changed a great deal in the last 10,000 years, the answer is no. Some of them, yes, but this is for different reasons. Again, the fire in the forest fire analogy. But the main reason a lot of them do that is we can detect when they're in a natural environment where humans haven't fucked with them, which is very rare these days. If you see them, if you happenstance see them, you'll notice that they twist that way because as the tree grows, it's slowly rotating the trunk until it stops, and the limbs rotate on axis, and so do the twigs. This creates a complicated pathway for insects to travel. It also causes the tree to be more durable. It can bend over almost entirely, shattering its interior maybe and still making it. Now, this has many effects depending on the species. In some cases, this causes them to be nearly impossible to take down. Also, those are preferred woods for making something of a particular variety, highly durable wood. That's like a chunk of rope. It won't break. It's also hard to keep straight when you dry it, but once it's dry and cut, and then dried one more time, you do end up with something that's pretty damn durable. Now, the other thing is natural selection or unnatural selection by humans. Trees that are less desirable are the only ones we don't cut down when we do selective logging. Clear cutting is where you cut everything down and basically turn it into a farm, because you keep cutting down the ones you want. This also means you're going to let grow the ones you don't want, which means the forest fills with things you can't cut down, which is the reason clear cutting may have been invented. And that's where you get trees like that. I want to point out, it's not a sequoia or any particular tree, but let's say a tree of some kind, I'm not going to name, there's about 50 of them, so I'm not going to bother with it. They come with a mutation, where the tree, you've seen these, where they will hollow out inside. You've also seen trees, people won't listen to me. There are trees that burn on the inside almost exclusively. The outside is almost fireproof. So is the first layer, but after X number of years, the interior starts getting robbed by the plant itself to make the outside, so that they become hollow, lighter weight, harder to knock down in a storm because they have much more strength for weight. And bugs eat the leftover material, poop it out on the ground, and the tree recycles itself, continually forming an exterior. There are trees that are, by mutation or by their nature for more than 10,000 years, make themselves hollow and rely on bugs to clean out the interior to reduce how heavy they are. They make hollow spaces, and the bugs eat anything the bacteria would eat, which means they can't rot as easy. You end up with this veneer that could be a foot thick if it's old enough, that has a hollow space inside, then it reduces weight and they live longer. Actually, a particular variety. It's a mutation where it won't maintain the inner layer. The outer layer is the only thing given priority to, and it rapidly grows. Other mutations make a tree grow really tall, makes it to where it'll fall over easily, but it grows from the roots anyway, and it throws seeds everywhere. The tree on top is only there to collect sunlight through photosynthesis, making it able to build the rest of itself, but it doesn't really care. It's like a grass you can mow easily. Many trees are like that. Now, humans don't farm that or log that, so the natural stressor is those type of trees become dominant when you have foresters. So is this us causing it and they're adapting, or is it just a mutation that they have for other completely unrelated reasons that has the effect of looking like almost intelligent design? Again, the reason we have the confusion or the propagandistic lie of intelligent design is it really does look intelligent when creatures do all these weird things. But the fact is, these are freaks of nature that become the standard. Don't believe me? Look at yourself. Human beings have eyes that face front and a bunch of other peculiarities that match with the particular variety that we are. Hunter, gatherer, and pursuit hunters. I don't care if anybody wants to say pursuit hunters aren't what we are. We are. Sorry. But I have evidence. Yes, I know. Everybody has evidence to contradict what I have to say. Please type it down below. Caps lock is not optional. You have to do that so we know what kind of brain you have. But, go ahead, caps lock it. But no, we have a bunch of characteristics that make us completely worthless for any specialization. We are generalists, except for one peculiarity, the one big one, which is not shared by anything other than birds. We walk on two legs primarily. In fact, walking on four legs is such an aberrant behavior. It's so unusual. Yet when humans learn to do it, it has advantages. The joke about four-legged climbing or four-legged walkers, well, those are just cliff climbers. They're just not on the, they're just, I used to be a cliff climber. We just, I'm a quadruped when I'm going up. It's not funny. Anyway, here we go. But yeah, cheers from down under. Well, fuck. You're in a place where every goddamn animal is, even, where's the flying tarantulas? That's what we're waiting for. But yeah, you live in a place where, good fucking God, Australia is like a big whop upside the head. Yeah, intelligent design or heavy-duty adaptation. By the way, congratulations on being the home of what's left of the velociraptor population. Isn't they cute? So anyway, and he's probably wondering which one. Exactly. So anyway, next. Supermax prisons. The United States has got a prison system, and it is a for-profit prison system. It is a slave system. Sorry, it is. We make people work. If I was locked up in prison, they said, well, you can work your way. I'm not going to work. Why? Because you're taking my freedom away. I will not pay you for that. Well, you have to pay your way. Enslavement. A lot of Supermax prisons existed, and maximum security prisons exist. A lot of them. Let's talk about it. 1983, new Supermax prison began to exist because of an incident where a couple of guards got stabbed. Yeah, it sounds kind of petty, doesn't it? They began isolating any inmates that were considered uncontrollable in solitary confinement 23 hours a day. They did the absolute legal maximum and then pushed it to 23 hours. If they showed absolutely no concern for human life, if they showed no remorse, if they were remorseless killers. No, it wasn't what you might be thinking. The prototypes for Supermaxes are obviously earlier. This grew to 57 facilities or more in the federal U.S. prison system by 1999. Now, you may have noticed that's less than 20 years. What's it like another 20 years later? We have one left that's a Supermax prison. ADX Florence in Colorado, 344 presumably men. The rest of them we have actually more of them total. We have 73 total. Most of them just contain a Supermax wing or just a section that's maximum security within a less secure facility, as would be appropriate, for death row inmates mostly. They're death row inmates. And some of them are unrepentant murderers or mass murderers. Many are blocked on maps. None of them are truly underground prisons. I would vote that all of them should be underground and have no windows at all. If you're going to use solitary confinement, make it like a location you'd hide in if there was an atom bomb going off. That way you can get your Mad Max on really easily afterwards. Someone was posting claims and concerns about this. But the main thing I have is the reason they did this where they have little wings where it's just basically the lockdown area is because that's more sensible. Instead of all of the worst people in the entire United States being tracked to one location, isolated, where if they did get loose, they would all get loose. The idea is to put them in a larger spaced out area and make them for each state, in some cases per county. You should look at the list below. Because that's more practical. It is. It also makes them have a visible reward. If you behave yourself for 3 years, we'll put you in the lower security area. You're here for life. Maybe you're here to die. But if you don't want to be miserable, you have to do what we tell you. Because you have to. And most importantly, because you refuse to do what the entire population and generally we're in a society told you to do, which is don't do things so outrageous we feel like putting you in solitary. A bunch of somebodies on a jury in most cases, had to feel comfortable taking away your right to be free and locking you up permanently, and judges had to agree with it, and you had to have your lawyers arguing for your defense, and you had to have a burden of proof, heavy one by the way, to be in prison. On the other hand, people take a plea deal and their life is ruined and they're turned into literally modern-day enslavement because they were caught with 2 ounces of marijuana. They may not be in Supermax, but it's not really that much different. Instead of 23 hours in solitary, they're effectively 24/7 in quasi-solitary. Nobody asked you, Wabtec, but I'm going to do it. Here's who asked you with Wabtec? I think the prison system is garbage. I've met dozens of people who were released from prison. Even they said they were not fully rehabilitated. It was a bad idea. And we are lucky that they were able to find their morals. Or maybe they were released with a conscience and didn't quite believe that they deserved to be released, and maybe that's the best sign of all. I've also dealt with people who said, I learned how to deal with people like you in prison, and they were complete little bitches that wimpy computer geek me could take out very easily. It's not that they were in prison because they were tough or strong or dangerous. It's because they were antisocial as hell and would become a chronic problem. I've seen someone thrown into solitary, not for violent crime, but because they were the creepiest stalker asshole on the planet. They were in there for something minor and got thrown in the hole basically the entire time they were there. The mindset. Well, let's blame it on the parents and society and video games. No, it's when you burn down a forest, the only thing left is what will not burn. When your society is based on self-destruction, you breed 2 varieties of people at minimum. And this does evolve. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck.